Hello everyone, and welcome to today's special video. We're checking out another very cool, very unique controller from CRKD. But before we jump in, I just want to take a quick second to say a huge thank you to all of you for the support so far. Every like, comment, and sub is genuinely helping shape the direction of this channel, and I couldn't be more grateful. So again, thank you. Alright, let's dive in. Today, we're taking a look at the CRKD Neo S Purple Wave Edition controller. But what makes this one special is the Fortnite Festival branding. This controller was specifically designed with Fortnite Festival in mind. Now, I'm a huge rhythm game fan. I grew up on Guitar Hero, totally obsessed. So naturally, Fortnite Festival has been scratching that same itch lately, especially now that I'm playing on the PS5 with the PDP Riffmaster. But this is something a little different. Right out of the box, the Neo S feels solid. It's got this slightly boxy design, which might not be for everyone, but honestly, I kind of like it. Gives it a bit of a retro modern mashup vibe. The buttons feel nice and clicky, super satisfying feedback when you're tapping along to notes. The build overall feels premium, even a bit collector's piece quality, which makes sense considering CRKD tends to go for that style. Now, one thing that's particularly interesting with this controller is the fret attachment. As far as the connection, it's pretty straightforward. It slides on with a nice firm click, and it doesn't feel like it's going to budge once it's in place. And taking it off is just as easy, no tools or weird fidgeting. Just a simple clean snap on snap off design that feels super user friendly. Connecting the controller to the Nintendo Switch was also pretty easy. You just go through the usual pairing process via the controller menu on the Switch and boom, you're good to go. I also registered the Neo S in the CRKD app, getting yet another diamond rarity, which is pretty cool. Nice little bonus and definitely a fun collectible element if you're into that kind of thing. So how does it actually play? Well, this is where things got a bit more mixed. I tested it out on the Switch, and while the controller itself felt great in hand, performance-wise, the Switch version of Fortnite Festival just isn't quite up to par with the PS5. There's a bit more latency, slower menus, and honestly, it just doesn't feel as tight or responsive. And to make things a bit trickier, the button mapping didn't line up perfectly out of the box, at least that was my experience. So this made it a bit confusing at first. I ended up having to dive into the settings to create a custom controller scheme just to get things to match. It was a bit of a hassle, but once it was sorted, everything played pretty smoothly. Now, unlike your traditional guitar controller, all you really have to do is press the corresponding buttons as they come up, and the game will basically perform an auto strut for you. I was able to get through a full song in hard difficulty and did relatively well, scoring about a 90. So I think for anyone who is looking for a portable controller to play any of these rhythm games, it's clearly a great option. I don't think there's really any other choice aside from bringing a full controller with you. Now, one thing to keep in mind during longer sessions, I did notice some hand fatigue setting in. The boxy shape and smaller grip size make it less ergonomic than something like a traditional console controller. So if you're planning to play for hours at a time, you might start to feel that cramping creeping in, especially on the fretting hand. So it's definitely worth mentioning. Overall, the CRKD Neo S Purple Wave is definitely a cool, stylish, and unique controller, especially for Fortnite Festival fans and rhythm game lovers. It's not perfect, especially on Switch where you might run into some setup quirks and performance limitations. Now, there is a Switch 2 edition of Fortnite coming out, so anyone looking forward to the Switch 2, you do have that to look forward to. But again, overall, once you have everything dialed in, it's actually a pretty fun experience. The clicky buttons, solid build, and collectible feel make it worth checking out, especially if you're into limited edition gear or just want something that stands out. And that's gonna do it for this one. Let me know in the comments if you tried this controller or if you've been playing Fortnite Festival and what your setup looks like. And as always, thanks again for the love and support, and I'll catch you in the next one.